How are you, lads? Welcome to Redmen TV and Anfield Road TV. I'm joking. It's just Anfield Road TV. Right, I'm on tonight with a bunch of lads popping on for Jack's channel tonight. We have Irish Red in the house. We have Doug and we have Connor, the Cap Council. And we're looking at the post-match reaction for the Liverpool Bournemouth game. And to start us off, can we just talk about Szoboszlai, lads? Can we just get into it and talk about Szoboszlai? Actually, I'm doing a full Connor tonight, by the way. So yeah, so like I just if I touch it, I just feel like I'm next to Connor. That's the way I feel tonight.
I'm gonna secretly say that Kev is literally over there, chat. So yes, he is in the same room as me.
Nah, I'll pull it down in a second. But no, look, lads, what a game we've had. Connor, I'll come to you first while your mic is unmuted there, bud. And I want to talk about some of the teams, some of the instances. If you want to take it first off, the start was probably one of the worst starts I've seen in a Liverpool team in a long time. It was very open, very poor in the back. Most of it was down to Trent. He completely let the back line down, and it was almost same old until they kind of got their shit together, to be honest with you. So you can take it and say what you like about it, but it's yeah, for me it was just really poor.
Yeah, no, I think somebody on my channel said it was like watching Brendan Rodgers football all over again, which was very much the truth. But no, like again, it wasn't the great start that we all hoped that Liverpool would do. From of course all the hope and dreams that we had. But I think today was really a testament of how this Liverpool side is actually going. In terms of, I think Liverpool, if this was Liverpool last season, I think that first 20 minutes, we would have been losing 2-3-0. And people go, oh, that might be a bit excessive of Bournemouth, to be fair. But I think, again, people won't really underestimate that 20 minutes unless you watched it, because it was diabolical, to be fair. But I think, obviously, we're going to probably talk about it more in depth. But yeah, Dominic Szoboszlai, what an absolutely unbelievable player he is. 70 million euros, pennies to Liverpool on how good he's going to be. And to say that, again, he totally costs less than Mason Mount, which at the minute, they're struggling. At the minute, of course, they lose the Spurs.
Isn't that the kind of way with most stuff, if you're going to make a comparison to United? That it's most things. You had Memphis Depay that cost a fair amount, and I think there was only like a 3 million difference between him and Bobby Firmino, but the worth was worth his weight in gold. And then you had, there's been various different buys down through the years in the last few years. Really, you go back to the late 90s and early 2000s with Arsenal's buying power and Chelsea's buying power and United's buying power, and we were nowhere near their level. But then you come into the more recent years, and I think we bought astutely, we bought properly. But it all comes down to the managers you have in charge. It all comes down to the buying team behind them. And for me, it was Szoboszlai is probably going to be our buy of the season. To be honest, in the last couple of seasons, I think he's so important to the team now at the moment. The positions he was taking up. I was giving all about Jota from the start. I'm just saying I don't like Jota starting because I think he's more of an impact player. And there was even talking my chat about maybe we get the money out for him and free up some of that positions, put the money back in, get an extra foreign player in, that kind of stuff, So, but I don't know. I'll come to you, Nigel, and you can talk a little bit on well, what anything that you noticed, you see, because I want to see it from different eyes from everybody today. I want to see what people saw that I didn't see, and I watched it. I watched it with a fine-tooth comb, but then some people could have seen something completely different in the problems with Liverpool. But at the end of the day, Szoboszlai was fantastic. We'll come back to him again in a minute. But what for you stood out today?
Well, Szoboszlai. The first few minutes, and we were going through a bit of a bad spell, and there was a ball over the far side, And then he chased the ball down. He chased down the defender and forced him into a mistake and got us a throw. And the crowd went absolutely mental. And it was a kind of a big turning point because it started giving us a bit of traction in their half. I thought he linked really well. I thought he linked the defence and the attack really well. Like, he just very, very good passing, great vision, and he can run with the ball. That run down the wing when he tore those two defenders to pieces down the right wing. I just think he could be such an important player for us. Like, work really hard, especially when we went down to just went down when we went the man down. He worked really, really hard.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
I think that the team upped their game completely when we went down to 10 men. It was a bit static, I think, for the first, that whole period. I think we did up our game a bit in the second half, but the minute we went down to 10 men, it's like it was a different animal of a team, to be honest with you. So, Doug, I'll come to you about that, but if you want to give me your thoughts on the game and what stood out for you.
Yeah, well, it looks like Liverpool are winning and Manchester United are losing, so it looks like a very, very good Saturday already. Yeah, I have to agree with you. I think it was too stagnated in the midfield in the first half. I think it was too slow. It was too lethargic. I've been saying for a wee while, Gakpo as a midfielder does not work.
Oh, is it 2-0 to Spurs?
2-0 Spurs, yeah. Ben Davis, of all people, got the second goal.
I called it today. Should have put a bet
on. But yeah, I'm just going to sort of go back to some of my Gakpo point. I don't think he works as a midfielder. I know he's obviously playing there for the time being. We've obviously not got somebody there yet. But I think with Endo coming in and hopefully someone else coming in, I think you'll see probably Gakpo now be sort of the false nine. I agree with you. I don't think Jota should start. I think, again, he is probably more of an impact player. Yes, I know he got his goal today. It was a very good finish, to be fair to him. But yeah, just something was missing in that first half. And yeah, the second half, we'll obviously get onto the joke of a red card decision as well. But yeah, very slow, very lethargic, but we definitely stepped up the pace after the second half.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so no, I totally agree with you there. I do believe that. I think, to be honest with you, why buy Nunez if you're happy with Jota is what I'm thinking myself. So if you're completely happy with Jota and the type of player that he is, why buy Nunez? Why spend that kind of money on him, and why keep him on the bench doing it? So, for me, Jota is getting in the way at the moment, and I'm only just saying at the moment. Look, he's been one of our best finishers for the last couple of seasons. But when it comes to link-up play and when it comes to actually developing and creating chances, he completely slows us down. He doesn't go into positions that a striker should go into, where you get something different completely. My camera's going off now, so don't mind that. But he doesn't go into positions where you'd normally tend to see a striker drift in and drift out. And when he does come back, he tends to get in the way of the attackers that can come in and probably have a long shot or have something like that. And he takes up positions that, you'd probably see 9 out of 10 times Szoboszlai taking a strike from. So it, for me, gets a little bit in the way, whereas Nunez will sit on that front line and he will annoy the defenders. He will try and make that late run in behind, and you're going to get the most out of him. With regards Jota, we'll come back to you again, Connor, and you can give me your opinion on what you think about Jota and what you think the best way to get anything out of Jota, or is it a matter of just time ticking down for him?
I think with Jota and Gakpo in particular, I think they don't know between them who needs to start the press. I think we've seen it today, and I think we saw it against Chelsea. Of the both of them, they didn't know exactly which one starts the press. And I agree with the lads as well. I think that again, Cody Gakpo against certain teams, yes, he can play in that 10 position, but certainly I don't think that's a long-term role for him. I think Jota for me is better coming off the bench. He's always been that change player that can come on in any circumstance and completely change the game in Liverpool's benefits to go on and score. But I think that the big question mark, and I think a lot of people have had the same question, is concerning Darwin Núñez, like you said. I think loads of people have it as well. For me, I thought he was going to start today. I was shocked when he wasn't going to be starting. And I think it's a real conversation of what is Darwin's role in this team, because again, I think against next week against Newcastle, where you're going to get space in behind that defence, I think Darwin is perfect for that. If again Cody has to play at centre mid, but as we've seen it the last 2 weeks, Jurgen hasn't gone with Darwin; he's gone with Diogo Jota. But I think personally, Darwin should be getting ahead of Jota at the minute. I think probably Cody Gakpo, system-wise, is probably better for what Jurgen wants. But I do think that if we want someone that's going to run in behind, cause that chaos that we all call it, I think Darwin is I think he is the prime guy for Liverpool.
Okay, cool. That's great. And I think most of the chat would also like to know, Connor, why is the top of your head missing?
It's not missing. You can see my head. I'm sitting up.
Sorry, lads. I'm just having a joke. All right. So we're going to have a look at a few of the comments tonight. Where we're kicking into it, lads. I've had a few wines as well, so bear with me. All right. So I'm getting used to the StreamYard malarkey. I use OBS, which is the Kingsman of streaming software.
Basically, McKenda's gone on holiday and we don't know what to do. That's the best.
Kind of, yeah. Like he just says, I leave you a couple of thumbnails, but then he sends it to you on WhatsApp. So I can't even download it onto my PC, so I have no idea what's going on. But enjoy your holiday anyway, Jack. Anyway, somebody said Jack's put weight on. No, I haven't. Right, so what are you talking about? And Mark, cheers. He's here on Doug's channel. I have to not highlight that there now, so make sure I'm not putting in every message. Kev, Nige, Doug, Connor, how are y'all? Cop Council share. Appreciate that. There you go, lads. You can't click on that link, but I'll put it up there anyway. Hi, Mark Naisbeard as well. Panav, are you following me? There you go. The lads were on my stream there earlier, but watching the game together. Brian Morrissey, just watched it again, Jesus, lads. That Moore penalty was absolutely shocking. Jesus, nice. I'll come to you about that one. That's the point to talk about. Instead of people saying it, I thought it was brutal as well myself. He kind of went down the middle. I think Mo's lost his mojo a bit with the penalties lately. And he's missing 3 out of 5 penalties. And we have a good penalty taker there in McAllister. We have another penalty taker in Sabasli also. And I think even when Endo came in, he's a bit of a penalty taker as well. So there might be options out there that we can actually push it onto somebody else and see how they do maybe, and have more running a bit late to get onto the ball. But what do you think of the penalty yourself?
Well, I have to say I've never been a fan of the way Mo takes penalties. I know he scored a lot of them, but I could never take a penalty like that. I used to take a few penalties when I played, and I was never one for put the head down and smash. I'd rather have some kind of an idea where it's going.
It worked for him for the longest time, but it is absolutely. It is kind of it's kind of hitting hope, really, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's like if the goalkeeper goes any way the right way at all, it's not in the corner. Like the best penalty I've ever seen Mo hitting was the day we beat Arsenal 3-1. He scored the 2 goals. Remember, he turned Sideshow Bob on the halfway line. But the second goal he scored that day was a penalty that Sideshow Bob pulled him back as well. But he took a penalty, and it was kind of in the corner with a bit of curl on it, about 3/4 of the way up the goal, and it was buried.
Yeah, I thought Mo looked a little bit tired at the start of the game, and he wasn't. It looked like he couldn't be like when I seen him against Bayern Munich, and it was Davies. He was racing back, or was it getting back to the back right hand side, and he outran him, and I was like, "What? Mo Salah getting outrun by somebody?"
That was really
that was weird. But then I seen him, just before he came off, and he was working half of the team, and he was barreling like at full pace across the front of the, and I was saying, "All right, that's the dude I can see."
He throws one ball down there in the second half, ran about 50 yards across the field, to close down a guy, and we got a throw out of it. It's what you want to see, you know what I mean? The whole team worked really, really hard, I thought. But yeah, like he gets doubled and triple teamed every time the ball goes out near him now on the right hand side.
Yeah.
There's 2 or 3 players.
He shouldn't be out there. He should be tucking in that in. He should be just on the edge of that box. He shouldn't be anywhere near the edge. He should be creating more space for me. In my opinion, he should be creating space for Trent running up that right hand side. But Trent was an inverted fullback. He doesn't want to be the runner anymore going up that outside, and that's hindering Mo's game. So questions have to be asked there in future, I think.
After the way we started, it was good God.
Yeah, I know Trent was terrible, absolutely terrible for the first 10 minutes of the game, and then he came into the game and he was grand.
Yeah,
but
did that.
Could have cost us the entire game though.
There was a big wide open gap, and Ibu was going to have to go across and cover right back as well.
I said that in my stream, that I said Van Dijk is after going across the right back position because Ibu's after going up to cover Trent, and Trent is still up the bloody field. And Van Dijk is making a tackle as a left-sided centre-back to come right across and make a tackle at right back. I thought that can't happen. If you
we just got so off in the first 20, 25 minutes. It was incredible. And once we settled down, we looked all right. But Jesus, that can't happen. You can't be letting teams have... Yeah. You know, there's going to be better teams than Bournemouth. No disrespect to Bournemouth, but they started really well. We could have been 3 or 4-0 down there, handy.
Yeah, easily. If that first one was given and the second one was given a couple of minutes later, we were 2-0 down within 2.5, 3 minutes. That would have been nuts. It was the weirdest. That's the weirdest I've ever seen the start for Liverpool.
Alisson made some good saves as well. You know, it's just how we can keep getting caught in the same channels all the time is it's very frustrating.
No, sorry, buddy. It's just that we're going to answer this there now in a second. Continue on down now. Sorry, bud.
Yeah, well, just to answer that question, I thought he was exactly what we were missing. He came on and he got the foot in where he needed to get the foot in. Covered play, committed a really good foul in their half at one stage as well. The guy was kind of trying to break out and he just took him down. You know, it's exactly what we needed. Exactly what we needed. Yeah,
definitely. I'm going to come to Doug with this one as well. What do you think of Endo, Doug?
Yeah, it does exactly what it says on the tin. Comes on, breaks up play, fouls a man. That's what we need. That's what we need in a 6. That's what you need in a defensive midfielder. Someone who's no very very like someone who like can like break up play. Occasionally, cause a foul or two. His way of passing, I thought, was very, very good as well. He's only going to get much better. And I have to say, I know a lot of people have been sort of complaining about this signing. He's Japanese captain.
Yeah,
I think that's an absolute steal for 16.2 million. The Japanese captain. And we've got him for 16.2 million. That's going to be an absolutely...
Doug, I don't think we paid all that up front. I think we threw him like 10 million, and then so you can have the other 6 million if you win something.
Yeah. But no, I think Endo will only get better, but a very, very promising first debut.
Yeah, I mean, Pep Guardiola said it himself. I mean, he was very, very surprised that Liverpool went in for Endo at his age, but he said the same thing as Jurgen Klopp. He said, I would have loved to get him a couple of years ago, but he was unavailable through a contract, and we went for Rodri instead. So, I mean, that'll tell you that, he could have been a Man City player a couple of years ago, if the way you look at it. But, I mean, at 30 years of age, and you have to understand that the Asian culture look after it themselves really, really well. And they don't drink too much. They barely have any, they eat small meals, they don't. Their engine lifespan is a lot better than ours over here. Let's just say that. And a 30-year-old as a Japanese player is pretty much like having a 26-year-old. As you get that extra 3 or 4 seasons out of them. As you can see, if you go back to some of the years where some of the Japanese players they played right into their late 30s, early 40s. With regards their career lifespan. The last time I saw something like that was what was that striker's the ex-Spurs and United striker Teddy Sheringham, was it? Like he went down for an absolute age as well, didn't he? And I was just like, maybe that dude was half Japanese or something. But like at the same time, the engine room is there. It's 30 years of age. Most players that look after themselves and keep themselves tidy, they still have a 5 or 6 year lifespan at the top level. I mean, look at James Miller, just left us at 36, 37. Yeah, he lost the legs in a couple of years, but if you're going by the comparison to what the Japanese culture and the Asian culture is like and how they look after themselves, you got to say that at 30 years of age, you get a good you get a good 3 premium years out of him, 4 really good years, and at the fifth year, an average year out of an endo for the next few years, and you're thinking, right, so he'll last the length of a contract easily. And at that stage, you're also bringing in and grooming a younger midfielder to come in and take the place as it goes on. So I think it's an absolute steal. I think you're right. I think he's an engine. He's a workhorse. He does the simple things. He doesn't overcomplicate the game. He doesn't overdo anything. And if he gets the foot in, gives away a few fouls in the meantime without getting instant yellow cards, because there's a big difference with a tired Fabinho lunging in and hoping for the best while saying, right, I need to take this guy out, and a guy who tries to wrap his leg around somebody by catching up with him and then gives away a foul. One gets a yellow card, the other one just says, right, just be careful what way you're doing stuff, because his engine is big, he's better. His ability to try and get around that player is better. It's up to the player to shield the ball, obviously, that he's tackling, but if he's still able to do that at 30 years of age and fly around with it, so be it. But he looked well when he came on. Anyway, we'll get to the incident that's kind of been pissing everybody off, I think, this afternoon. If you're a rival fan, I think it would piss you off as well, seeing that kind of call made on Alexis McAllister with that red card. I thought it was the biggest shambles of a red card I've ever seen. I get it that his foot was up. I get it that the studs were kind of showing, but I also get the fact that none of those studs touched that player. I also get that the player's leg was in the air, and I also get it that it was a non-foul in any way, shape, or form. Like, just because a player's legs come across him like that, you could just push that leg back, and I give the yellow card for the intent, but and give the foul, but that's your punishment. A red card was super harsh today, and I haven't looked at any referees' context in any of this. Any of these pundit referees that are around now. I haven't looked at any of it. I haven't, because I don't need their opinion. I think if they're standing by their role, I think they'd have the same opinion as everybody else. That was definitely not a red card. Free kick, yellow card for the intent. Yes. Did he mean to hurt the dude? No. Your man made a meal out of it. Made it look worse than what it is. And I think a young referee got duped. And that's my opinion. What do you think yourself, Khan?
Do we have a bleep button available
Yeah.
for the context? Yeah, a load of yeah, no. But just a shambles, a lot, because just reading into a few articles again, didn't go to VAR by the looks of things. Which again, I think if the referee had looked at it again, I think he himself would have maybe overturned it. It's like you said, there was no studs. I think none of us could complain if it was full studs to the face of the foot.
Yeah.
I think if that was the case, then I think again, yeah, there wouldn't be any argument with it. But I think if that's a red card in any football match, I think every single supporter's going, that's never a red card, unless of course you are deluded in that aspect of things. Manchester United supporters, but it. I think the big question is now: will it get overturned by the FA? And knowing the way they are, I don't think it will be. Unfortunately, does that mean that it should have been red cards? No. Again, I still stand. It should.
They'll side with the ref. Simple.
Yeah, exactly. It should never have been a red card. But if it is a red card, it then opens up the door of, again, who fills in that sixth spot? Does Endo play for Liverpool? Do we bring in Stefan Bajcetic in without a proper match fitness? Does Thiago potentially come in as well? So I think Liverpool are hoping and praying for next week that, of course, McAllister's ban gets rescinded. But overall, though, mate, I think it's an embarrassment. And again, with the second week in, Wolves got robbed last week, and I think we've got robbed in terms of Alexis McAllister getting a red card.
We do know who was on VAR. Yeah, we do.
Yeah, Paul Tierney, which
Yeah.
is hilarious, to be fair.
I don't understand in any of these situations where the referee hasn't walked over and looked at the screen. None of the situations has he walked over and looked at the screen at all.
I think people in my chat said that if the referee says to the VAR if he's seen it, like if he has seen it clearly, then VAR will not intervene, which I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah.
But I think my chat earlier on was saying that
It'll have an influence.
But
But
the other
I-
interesting point about it, I think, is the fourth official in that Spurs game. The clock shouted at was the assistant VAR referee as well, which, yeah, enough said. I think in that aspect for me.
Aye, that's good. There's no point in even getting too much into that red card because every single one of us is going to say it's not a red card. You know, the one thing I will get into is the fact that although we were poor for the first few minutes of the defense, I thought that we retained the ball well. I thought that we turned over the ball pretty well as the game went on. I thought Trent upped his game a fair amount. He was getting involved. He had a couple of shots taken off. I think one was tipped over the bar. We had a few shots on target that hit the crossbar and hit the post. We were unlucky there in that kind of way. I'm going to go back to the whole Jota thing, and I would say that what would you do with Jota? In this, like we all know that we want Nunez to start. We all know that Endo is going to come in now, and he's going to cover it. It's making it a lot longer to happen with this red card, and I haven't even seen if they're going to keep it as a professional foul play or whether it's going to give it a simple red card and have a one game match ban. Because I know with 2 yellow cards you get a 1 game match ban. Before you used to get straight red card, 3 game match ban. But I think there's like a certain standard of these type of fouls now. And if he thinks it's a serious foul play and it's going to be 3 game match ban, I mean that's losing McAllister for potentially 3 games for a non-red carded foul that should have been checked by VAR. So in saying that, we got a lot of balancing to do. We got Endo to come in and all of that. It's pretty obvious if is Curtis Jones injured. I didn't even see him on the play today. Is he injured? So now we've nobody on that left hand side. Is Thiago ready to come in to that position? Is he fit enough to come in there on the left hand side? I don't know, but if not,
would you move Szoboszlai over to the left? Would you move Szoboszlai over to the left and maybe play Harvey Elliott on the right? Because I think Szoboszlai most of last season for Leipzig was on the left hand side.
He did. He drifted across there. He started on the right and he drifted across.
Aye. Yeah. So I think if obviously, well, I really hope McAllister's red card gets rescinded because that was an absolute joke today. How Paul Tierney and Konstantin Hatzidakis can see that's a red card is just laughable. But I've been saying it for a number of weeks and a number of years. The referee in England is at the lowest of the low. It really is. It has been so bad. But I think if obviously McAllister is not available, Curtis Jones is not available, then I think you'll probably have Endo, Szoboszlai, and then I think it'll be potentially Harvey Elliott because I don't want to see Gakpo in midfield again. I think if you're going to play Gakpo, it's definitely going to be down the middle. So I think we definitely do have options there. But I think if McAllister's red card is not rescinded, then I think you probably go with Endo, Szoboszlai on the left, and probably Elliott on the right against Newcastle.
See, for me, I've been saying all last season and this season that I prefer Gakpo in the position that he's playing right now in that midfield role. The problem is he needs a proper DM behind him. And if he hasn't got a proper DM and he's expected to come back and tackle and defend, that's not going to happen with him. He's an attack-minded player. He should be in that role on the left-hand side if he's going to do it. And he is great running from deep. He said it himself, and I don't like him myself. If he plays that false 9 role, him with his back to goal is useless for Liverpool. He's not Bobby
Yeah.
Firmino. He's not this like one touch person and turn around and just like flick the ball off this way and that way and not expect to turn and shoot at a goal. Which is why he's going to be our enigma going forward, I think, with the team. I think once you get Endo in there, they're going to have McAllister on that side. So then he's going to either have to play on the left-hand side and take over from Diaz, who's on form at the moment, or he's going to have to play through the middle, hinder his game, and he's just going to keep getting replaced by probably Nunez as Jota gets maybe faded out or Jota comes on for Diaz or something like that, some sort of rotation.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
Can I also just say I thought Andy Robertson was excellent today. I thought he was much better than he was against Chelsea. But then again, he wasn't so exposed against Chelsea than he was today. I've got to say though, I was very impressed with Bournemouth. I think you got to give credit. I think you can obviously see what the new manager is doing over there, Areola. I think he's a very good manager, and we kind of knew. Like, obviously, I did the preview with Con last night. I think we were both saying, weren't we, Con, that this is a completely different Bournemouth side, and you can quite clearly see what he's managing to get across. I think he's only been there two months already, and already he seems to be getting his ideas across. I mean, I said it last night. If anybody has Bournemouth in the bottom three, honestly, I think there's worse teams than Bournemouth. I was very impressed with them, and I think that the only way is up for them.
I think in the first weekend, I'll just quickly go around before we do anything, and before we get to Nigel to the next point, or back to Connor for the next point, because we're going to rotation. But we'll do it in the same rotation again. We'll go Connor, Nigel. We got to Doug after that, and we'll do. Are you telling me to hurry up? How you doing?
I was going as a cycle.
So, who, with the first couple of weeks done now in the league, is your picks to go down? I'm not worried about who wins the league. We all know that City are favourites and all that, but has it changed at all? Has anything changed in your heads that makes you think that maybe, you know, somebody different is going to go down? Yeah.
For me, no. I think I had Sheffield. I think I had Sheffield bottom in my prediction. I think I went Sheffield, Luton. I think Wolves. Yeah, I think I had Wolves down. I think it's going to be tough for Gary O'Neill this time around, even though he did a fantastic job last season, as Doug said last night, we were doing a preview. But Bournemouth and speaking, on Gary O'Neill, how much he did a fantastic job last year, I just think Wolves from the top to the bottom are, in a mess at the moment behind the scenes. So that's my bottom three. I'd love to say Everton again, but yeah, unfortunately that's not going to happen this season. But yeah, that's my bottom three. So I've got Wolves, Sheffield, and Luton.
I'd 100% agree with you. I thought it was going to be Wolves, Sheffield, and Luton as well. But I just said as well that unless one of them because I thought that when I saw Wolves the first game of the season against United, I was like, oh no, maybe they will survive, maybe they will come good, or maybe they can do it late. But then I just realised United are absolute shite, and no, they're muck. And I don't think I've seen an easier midfield to bypass. And as much as they're doing things going forward in little bits and pieces, Anthony is not worth the money. He's so, as somebody said earlier, he's so one-sided on his foot. There's no football brain in there other than turning inside and taking a shot. There's no real passing to his game. There's no real creation sense to his game. And I just think that the reason why Ten Hag loved him, and I know he came to United before Ten Hag did, but I think the reason why he keeps playing him is that he assumes that it's like the Dutch league and that he's just going to barrel past anybody that he's going up against. And that's the standard of football. But this is the Premier League, and these guys are getting shown up now. And I think that they haven't bought smartly in the market, United. And I'm kind of going out there to say on a limb, and not because I don't like them, but I have an awful feeling United could have a Chelsea season from last season. And that's the feeling that I have. I just don't think they've recruited enough and they've done enough in the league. I don't think they
Just to let you know, when I said it was Ben Davis, I'm actually just going and actually seen it again. It's Lisandro Martinez.
Yeah, I seen it. Yeah, but it was
remember when the Butcher was going to overtake everyone in the league.
I just, it doesn't make any sense to me. How I like when you look at it last season, there was a couple of teams that were in the false position last season. The two main teams that were in the false position last season were Spurs and United, because of how poor they were in form, and mainly due to the fact of other people having bad results, i.e. us, i.e. Chelsea, i.e. Wolves that were better the year before, West Ham that were better the year before. Because they had, like, West Ham had European football, they had all of this, throughout the season, it caught up with them, which is the same reason where you talk about Newcastle will have a great start to the season, I think. But I think just in like the first couple of games, I think they're capable of beating City. I think we can do them next week. And then you think the Champions League game starts starting. Once the Champions League game starts starting, they'll get hurt. I think Arsenal will feel it, the pinch of small bit. And I think Chelsea will improve, and we'll have improved, regardless of the start of a game today. I just think with Szoboszlai in there and McAllister, boss in the midfield, and a good DM behind them, we're okay. But I think that United have a super false position. Like, you have to imagine the fact that everybody was talking about they finished top 4 or top 3 or whatever it was, but yet they still finished 13 to 15 points behind the previous season when they had Ronaldo and Ranić in charge. And that just goes to show you that everybody else dropped off. I think the only improvements in the entire league were Arsenal. City stayed the same. If anything, they dropped off, even though they won a treble. They were terrible at the start of the season. They were playing long ball football to Haaland non-stop. There was no inverted running. There was no outside running. Nothing. It was just long ball to Haaland. They felt the pinch. Arsenal battled it. And then you had, Arsenal improved. Brighton improved, I believe. And Brentford stayed steady and all of that. I think in the last 6 months, Aston Villa improved the same time that we improved. But we just had a better, I think, ratio of results when they came in. And even speaking of Aston Villa, I'm under the assumption that Unai Emery is a fantastic Europa League manager. But when it comes to the league, he has a shining 6 months and then completely goes off the boil. And then, it's kind of similar to Steve. He's like an older Steven Gerrard, to be honest with you. I think he'll have a great first 6 to 8 months as a manager, and then he'll just be gone. The difference there is that Unai Emery is at the peak of what he can learn in football. There's no more learning for him. He's stuck in his ways. That's it. The difference with Steven Gerrard is that he will still pick up tips, tricks, everything, learn, and implement it where he can to change his mindset, because he has that time. So look, that's just for me. I getting back to the point about the teams that are going down. I do believe it's Wolves, Luton, and Sheffield as we speak, but I wouldn't rule out everything sneaking in there. They just haven't bought right, and if anything, they've lost more players than they've bought. And Calvert-Lewin is a sick note constantly. Like, I can't remember when that dude strung 3 games of football together. I can't in the last few seasons. So I don't know. Who was it for you, Nige?
Yeah, I don't think I can disagree, but I think Everton will go. They've bought some really, really poor players. Ashley Young. No. I think they bought a striker from Spain the other day. As far as what you're saying about United, I think what you said about them buying poorly is, like, Onana is an absolute walking disaster. Mount is not worth whatever they paid for him. He's not worth it half it. Poor. Average player that they've overpaid for massively. They're not getting anything out of. They've got a Casemiro. They can talk all they want about, but he can't cover what they've got around him. You know what I mean? The guy out on the wing who's going to be up on charges and possibly going to jail soon, with any luck, because he deserves it, is, like you said there earlier on, such a poor player. I think Doug said it, one-dimensional would be the best way to describe him. He's terrible.
Yeah.
They've got a so-called fullback who said, "Oh, he's a good defender," but he's not. Wan-Bissaka. And then they've got the Michelin man at left back, and they were trying to play him centre half. And the only way he's going to stop people is blocked them and covered them in marshmallow or something like that. I don't know. They're poor.
Yeah, like I'm going to take a leaf out of Jack's book here now and just say and panel and chat and as Jack does, you know, Jack is he's a self-trained what would you call him, anchorman, isn't he? When he comes down to what he does, and he's very good at what
Only
he does.
one lecker out.
What? Right. So right, we're going to get the Panav's chat here. Our Panav's comment here, and we'll have a look at that. I've not seen any of the Liverpool game. I know he was in the chat. He was asking me to do live commentary earlier, so I was doing the best I can without actually going into the whole territory of and the ball is going up the wing and that kind of way, you know. But Liverpool games comment on it really. Watching Spurs game, they look better without Harry Kane. That's a bit nuts, isn't it? All right, lads, you just get 110, 115 million, and then we just we'll play better.
I said that a few years ago. Harry Kane was injured for a couple of games or suspended or whatever. I doubt if he was suspended, probably injured. And they actually looked much better without him. Son looked 10 times the player without him.
I just find when you have a lengthy striker, he slows up your game so much. In transitional play, I find that if you have a whip it going in there, it was the difference with how good City looked with Aguero compared to when they looked with either Dzeko or Balotelli or any of these guys that were up front. City just looked like a whirlwind team with Aguero in there, you know.
Spurs though, the way Spurs are with Kane is everything looks solely focused on Harry Kane. There was nobody else mattered. Like when he scored that goal and he was chasing he didn't score the goal. When he claimed that goal a few years ago when he was trying to chase down Mo and he never got within 6 inches of the ball and claimed it on his daughter's life and the Premier League gave it to him. Everything was focused on him. You see that, you know, it's like everybody focus on Kev, just black out our screens. None of the rest of us matter. Just let Kev talk there for an hour.
Yeah, that's
there you go.
Anyways.
There you go. Good editing. So yeah, it's a bit like that with Harry Kane. Everything was focused on him. I think Spurs will be better without. You know, he'd still score a lot of goals. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
A better team.
I just find it. I'm old school when it comes to some of this stuff. So I believe like you need some sort of a 4-4-2 formation to have a lengthy player. And I think you need a small guy to run off of him all the time. I just think it's a nightmare for defenses to handle. And regardless of what way the rest of your team plays, as long as they can defend somewhat, all the players in the midfield just need to be anchor players. It just needs to bypass them really quickly. They can't be on the ball, holding the ball, running with the ball, anything. Just needs to take 2 touches and gone. And I think that's what suits any lengthy player with a small player next to him. Or if you put a lengthy player on his own, he's going to score goals. Harry Kane's a very gifted footballer. He's one of the longest serving and most goal scoring strikers in the league. But if you would have put him in a team like Liverpool or United or something like that, he would have been it would have been hindered, but he probably would have scored 150 goals more, that kind of way. You know, it's the way it is, but he still would have hindered the team. So it's weird how some of these strikers work. He'll suit somebody like Bayern Munich for how they play. They play it kind of deep, and the whole team pushes up in you to join the striker at the last second, and that's kind of how they've always played. And I think he suits that format. Similar to Lewandowski was in there, similar to Muller was in there. You know, when he was at his peak, these guys are stranded on their own for most of the game, and all of a sudden the entire team pushes up on you to help. And they've done that within their kind of scenarios for Jesus, even since the 2013 kind of treble years and stuff like that, you know. So the Bayern Munich know what they're doing. When you're a top club, you know what you're doing in your league, you know what you're doing in Europe and whatnot. And I think Kane, you know, he'll bang in a half full of goals over there. That team will suit him down to the ground. But it's just such a shame that he couldn't do anything with Spurs while he was here. Just for the fans alone and you know, just for himself really. But he's given up any sort of history of being remembered as anything but, you know, never like the greatest goal scorer, never nothing. If he stayed at Spurs, he would have broken it in the next season or so. If he didn't stay at Spurs, now he's gone and he wants to have some sort of silverware and in his hands, and I think it's kind of a cop out to go to Bayern Munich. But you know they're pretty much, even if they have an off season, they're pretty much guaranteed to win it in the last 2 or 3 games anyway. So, I find it strange in that way. But you're never going to see the ilk of him again in the league, not for a few seasons anyway. Darwin Núñez is probably the similar player to what he can, if he can just get his finishing right. And, put a bit of muscle on as well, because I remember how skinny Harry was at the same time as well years ago. But anyway, lads, we'll push on, and we'll have a look at, just before we kind of go, I wanted to kind of dwell on how good Brighton are doing still, continuing on from last season. Doug, what's your take on Brighton at the moment?
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. They do it year after year. They always seem to get gems from somewhere. I mean, they found. I think they found another one in this in Siso. The guy is an absolute baller, absolute baller of a midfielder. But no, Mitoma, March, Estupinan as well. Brighton are going to be a very dangerous side. And I think just obviously go back to obviously your point of like Spurs playing better without Harry Kane. I watched the whole game between Spurs and Manchester United. Man United are getting done by pace every single game at this moment in time. They're getting done by pace. That midfield that they had today, Casemiro, Fernandes, and Mount. Whose idea was that? Like literally, it's not rocket science to know that Mason Mount is an absolute failure as a midfielder. He should be played out wide. But just go back to Brighton. Very good manager in Roberto De Zerbi. I do think that they will probably have a bit of a drop off from obviously last season. But I tell you something, they're going to be a force in the Europa League. I mean, obviously, it depends on the draw, but already you're looking at Brighton, and you're actually looking at the story of it. They look much better without Caicedo. It's actually scary to see, and good old James Milner playing a right back today, Mr. Versatile, as we like to call him.
I said it with regards to Caicedo before you move on to your next point. I've said it about Caicedo. Great player to bring in the whole lot, and I think Klopp would have made him a proper number 6. But he likes to play on that right-handed side of that defensive midfield role into like almost like an inverted fullback, like Trent. He likes to play in that position, and we've already got one of them with the ability to pass the ball out, which is unreal. I was excited when we went for him in the market. I was kind of saying, oh yeah, come in, Trent could really bounce off of him and move forward. Maybe we'll see Trent go more forward on that right-hand side. I never thought for a second like that Trent was going to stay in that inverted role if Caicedo came in, because Caicedo likes sitting on that right-hand side. So I've never seen him like sitting properly in that defensive midfield role. I think he properly works along with Alexis McAllister in a box role, and I think that's where it worked well with Brighton. With they had pretty much the 2, the 3, and the 1 in front of them. So in Ferguson and that, so look, it worked away there. But it just goes to show you that as much as he can defend well and put in a tackle well and the whole lot, the transitional play is much faster from what I've seen today than what it was when he was in the team. The ball it wasn't passed back as much. It was gotten forward. So yeah, I know. I see what you mean there with Caicedo. Yeah.
Yeah, and I absolutely love Mitoma. I absolutely love him as a player. Again, I think the first goal he scores, it's like amazing. It's like a Messi run. Like he literally goes past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players and then sticks it in the corner. Solly March as well. Like they've got a very good squad, Brighton. And especially when you replace a midfielder like Caicedo with Mahmoud Dahoud from Borussia Dortmund as well, Brighton will be there or thereabouts again. I think they'll probably be maybe not quite top 4, but they will certainly be in and amongst potentially the Europa League or potentially Conference League. But very, very impressive. 4-1 away at Wolves is a magnificent result.
Big test with seeing how they get along in Europe this season.
Yes.
We get into position, and I think that's the major factor in all these new teams that had a great season last season. This is why I said that Brighton will drop off, Arsenal will drop off, and Newcastle will drop off. I think Arsenal made us 2 signings in getting in the right players that might keep them higher up in the league table. But I still think, although Tonali's been a brilliant buy for Newcastle, I still think the lack of experience of European football around that club is just going to blindside them a little bit, and they're going to get caught with a few results in the league. It's mainly they could go and they could do really well in Europe and get to like a quarterfinal, semi-final, or whatever like that, but they're not going to be able to handle how to deal with the league in between those games, and I think they can hit losses and draws in between them. Yeah.
And especially as well, like Arsenal have lost Timber now to an ACL, which is really, really bad luck. So obviously we wish him well, but I've got to be honest, like David Raya, very, very good goalkeeper. I'm surprised he's gone there as a number 2. I really am. Havertz is a waste of a signing. I'm sorry, he is just god awful. And they think that they're going to play him in this midfield as well. But my last point is this, and I do leave you with a stat. Erik ten Hag has a whole run of 0 away wins from home against the top 9 of last season's Premier League. If this is any other manager, especially after spending 200 million.
Wow.
There you go.
A hell of a stat. That is a hell of a stat. Right, lads, before we go off, and because it's been 51 minutes, and I appreciate you coming in to help my deputization, and I know Jack's going to kill me later because I tried to wind him up by calling this channel something else. But when we started off, because it's it's the first thing he's going to go and I know he's having a couple of beers, so he's just going to go at it. So I had to get it out of the way, Jack. Anyway, before you go off, we start with you, Connor, man of the match.
Dominic Szoboszlai, for me. I think that he is the only answer today. I think obviously there's a few shouts. Luis Diaz again is another shout for me. That was excellent, but yeah, Dominic Szoboszlai did a 3-man job in midfield. If that's his first game at Anfield, I can't wait for what he does for the rest of the season at Anfield, especially when he doesn't have a DM properly behind him yet as well. So yeah, Dominic Szoboszlai for me, mate.
All right, cool. Nige, you second that?
Yeah, definitely. Some good performances today. Ali, very good. Some great saves. Robbo, very good. Virgil, very good. But only one. I thought Szoboszlai was absolutely outstanding.
Cool. Doug?
Yeah, I've been raving about this player for a number of years. Followed his journey from Salzburg all the way to Leipzig. He is going to be one hell of a fan's favourite. Dominic Szoboszlai, absolutely outstanding today, and my man of the match. So I think it's a full house.
Yeah, no, I'd have to agree. I mean, it's between him and Luis Diaz, really. And the pitch, Luis Diaz had a fantastic game as well. Sometimes he just has to tone in that engine a small bit because it takes him on strides that end up getting him groinal injuries. But
could I just make one little statement there? I forgot about it there earlier on.
Yeah.
I'm not sure any saw the game on Premier Sport or Viaplay or whatever it's called, and they had Damien Delaney on as a pundit, and he was talking about the red card. He was talking about the red card and the coverage of the game, and he said that McAllister, if he's going to make a tackle like that, has to tackle with his toes, with his feet pointing down.
Okay.
That's why he said the card was red. And he agreed with it being a red card. But have you ever heard that?
I've never heard so much rubbish in all my life.
Yeah,
that's exactly what he said.
I can see what he's going to say. That if the foot is like
fair
that,
enough.
Can be so much, and if it's like this, the foot is still off the ground. It's going to be zero damage done. It's a yellow card. Move on.
It's a coming together.
Yeah,
it's two players. It's two players coming. It's two players basically going to make a challenge. One misses the ball. One gets on at the end of one basically misses the ball. One gets the ball. It's a ludicrous decision.
Well, that's
absolutely ludicrous.
They were the words used. He has to tackle with his toes. He has to tackle with his toes with his foot pointing down. Were the words that were used.
Game's gone soft, mate.
Yep.
I mean,
Game has gone fucking
Delaney.
soft. Sorry, excuse my language, but
No,
yeah,
you're grand,
game's
you're
gone
grand.
soft.
Delaney's the non-binary of footballers anyway, so it doesn't matter. Right. So we're going to go into to your chit chat there, Nige. Sorry, and Doug, and who your man in the match was. Did you second that with or third that with Sabazley?
Yeah, supposedly, yeah.
Okay, I'd agree the same. I just I can't see anything past it. I thought, I did think Diaz was great. Ali came into the game near the end, but he was a bit weird at the start. But I think Trent scared the living shit out of him, to be honest with you. With some of those pass backs and just leaving them completely open. But outside that, no. But we're going to see a couple of comments before we head off. And then Darren getting 5 minutes. He's on a plane out of here. Packed his bags, the whole lot. Yeah, Brian was saying that earlier in the chat. And his must start. Clap. What's he say? Clap can't ditch the fake 9. No,
Fake 9. I think you meant false 9.
Yeah. Front three for Brian is Diaz, Gakpo, Salah. I'd agree with that at the moment. Until Nunes gets a bit of a knock in. Right, Everest, how's it going, man? Cards have been flying in today on all matches. Tons of yellows, even a couple of reds as well. Now, they've been harsh with the cards, a little bit too harsh on certain challenges, and they're not. I don't think the referees themselves have been given the proper distinction over what's the yellow and red. And they talk about, we've done our due diligence and all of that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
thought they were going to do more bookings for the time wasting.
Yeah.
Can I just say something? Bruno Fernandes is going to get more red cards this season because of that new rule.
Yeah.
Because he likes to speak out of line. He got a book in there today for the same thing. He will get sent off more, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I would wait and see to that.
Yes. Sub-30. Yeah, that was when you super. Yeah, but I mean, it should be the opposite way around. I think Jada should be the super sub. If anything, I think he's more impact in the last 15 minutes, 20 minutes than Darwin will. I think Darwin is he can start fast in games. You've seen even in pre-season he was scoring early goals, and then when he came on, no matter what half he was on, he was scoring early goals. So yeah, the press is supposed to use.
I agree. I'd like to see Nunes getting a start.
Mark's just kind of hiding his haircut.
To be fair, I do need a haircut, but yeah.
Glove says in his pre-match presser that we can't spend big money on players to wait and see. Darwin is here a year and still not starting. 65 million. Yeah, well, a few wines. Spider I saw. Yeah, I had a few of them. Yeah, there's a bottle or two gone in there anyway, so I'm happy now. I'm merry out. OBS is the king. Yes, it is. 9 minutes at a time. Spurs United. We're way past this, lads, so I'm going to have to try and catch up. We'll move down this way before we finish it up because I want to finish it up by the hour mark. Let your guests talk, Spider. I was answering him back with due diligence and moving him on to the next subject. Apologies, lads, if you thought I was talking over. I was waiting for people to finish talking, and I wasn't doing like a course moment.
All good, don't worry.
Yeah.
No,
I wasn't doing the course moment. I'm trying to be a host here, but normally I'm the guy that just sits there and gives my opinion and fecks off. But anyway, top 4 picks itself this year. Who does the pick though? Who's the pick for you? Go on, we'll answer this one. Connor.
It's Jesus Christ. City, Liverpool, Arsenal, and Chelsea, I think.
Okay. Nigel.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I think so. I think what you said earlier on about the European competitions having a bad effect on other teams. Yeah, definitely.
City, Arsenal, Liverpool. I mean, I had United, but after watching them for the last 2 weeks, no. I think probably Chelsea.
Yeah. I have to.
Sorry, Kev. Could we just what is the minimum expectation for Chelsea now this summer? Considering
actually, isn't there a 5th place for Champions League this year?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. So we got to go top 5. My bad. So
relegated to the National League and stripped of every title for blatant cheating.
Who's that? What did you answer there?
Chelsea.
Who was that for? Oh,
Chelsea and Man
yeah.
City.
I think they're both going to get done over the next few seasons. I think they're buying in enough players with weird contracts so that when they do get the ban, it's not going to really matter to them because they're going to have players that will survive them at least those 5 or 6 windows that they're going to be banned for. So Chelsea were they done for like 2 seasons the last time, and I think that this time there should be a harsher. That City would be lucky if they're able to buy a big player for a few years. If those things come true to fruition. But anyway, top 5, let's say we pick this year. So yeah, I'm going to say City, Liverpool, and because there's a top 5, I'm going to say Arsenal, Chelsea, and Jesus, I was going to say Brighton, but yeah, look, I'll say Brighton. I think United lose out this year. I think other teams are going to drop off. Unless Aston Villa get themselves in gear and Unai Emery can lose that curse of the way his teams drop off in the league but can do well in Europe. I don't see how they're going to survive doing it. Newcastle will be there or thereabouts. I didn't think they were good enough to win the league or get in the top 2 or 3, but they are good enough to get in the top 5. So, they'll be there as well. So we'll see. I don't know. We'll see anyway. That's a good question, Chris. Bruno's captain for Man United is worse leadership than Maguire, and that is a low bar. It is because I think he's a petulant child.
Oh yeah,
I can't believe Kev and obviously Nige, Connor, and everyone in the chat. I can't believe they made him as captain. He's a petulant little brat.
Mm. Yeah, I don't understand it myself. So what about Rashford with all the stuff he's doing off the pitch? Why didn't they make him captain? He's been there long enough. He's been working away long enough. He's their go-to striker.
Give it to bloody what's his name? Varane.
Yeah,
he was. I'm pretty sure he was captain at Madrid. So I've no idea why they've not given it to Varane.
The other fellas is probably going around crying in everybody's ear. They ended up having to give it to him.
Jesus. See, the liquor gets to him. There's no liquor, lads, involved. It's a small bit of wine. I've had a lot of food. I'm very relaxed.
I'm teetotal, by the way. I'm teetotal.
Yeah, no, I'm very relaxed. I'm very mellow. I am very mellow. Because you're forgetting Scum United have bought a world-class goalie and they have world-class rush food. So here, yeah, no, I get you, Redboard. It's ridiculous. They're very, very delusional over there. They don't have a clue. So Luton never says Luton haven't even got the stadium ready. It's gonna be tough for them, If they survive the league, it's gonna be a great survival, It's just it's how it is. Never been in the league before. They're guaranteed to be one of the people picked to go straight back down. So Anfield Road TV, excited to see Thiago a part of this midfield against Newcastle United. Okay. So I was looking for NU. Thiago or Hendo at 6. When they get familiar with Mac and Dom, could be the best midfield. But I can't see Thiago as a 6. He's not the greatest 6. He's a good anchor player and a bounce off player, but he's not. I just don't like him as a 6. But Hendo definitely.
I think you'll see Thiago probably be used more in the Europa League than the Premier League.
Yeah, a few cup competitions as well, I think. Because we're talking about this midfield, the way it's going on, and who goes into that left-hand side, and Thiago is the natural person that would go into that left-hand side. Or Gakpo was playing today. But McAllister is now the guy that's going to go in there. He pretty much bought Thiago's replacement by bringing in, McAllister, and he can kind of drop back a bit and help out as well in that 6 role. So, yeah, I don't know. I think Ange is doing a good job at Postecoglou. The team performing themselves. He's probably properly coaching the team without the big name of Kane intact. Yeah, I think so. Somebody said something to that effect earlier. Didn't you say that? About Spurs being better? You said that, and he's right. About Spurs being better than without Kane involved in the team. So I'd agree to that as well.
Better team.
Brian Marsh, you can also say they look better today without Kane. There you go. They're all saying the same thing. Yeah, Brian, what Philip said. Salah hasn't achieved another achievement? I have no idea. I haven't even looked.
He went above Steven Gerrard. He went above Steven Gerrard as top 5th all time.
187 now for Salah.
Oh, I knew he was close, but I didn't know he passed it today. And I was there live on stream kind of going, what the hell's going on? I didn't have a clue. I reckon, and congratulations to Salah. Absolutely Egyptian king. I reckon Ange would have found a system that just looked good with Kane in it. Philip, okay, yeah, maybe managers that's the role to do it, even if he stayed or went, But I don't know. Ever says he's jealous of Brighton's scouting team. I think we all are. But I also think that if Liverpool, there's a different tier level of scouting departments, right? So Liverpool have to go for really young players if they're going to bring them in from foreign countries. If they go for anyone that's already reached a certain stage of potential, that could be big enough, good enough to start in a Brighton team, or like if we'd have went for Caicedo a couple of years ago, there's no way we'd be paying 4.5 million. We would have paid anything up to 22 million for him because we're Liverpool, and that's what they would have charged because of the name and because of the club badge and the name of the badge. There's no way we would have picked up these players for 4.5 million. They just want. If we're interested in them, it means that they're a top tier wanted. So this is why clubs like Liverpool and United and most of these let teams like this, they keep close tabs, but they let them buy and then they try and find out what the deal is and the deal was, so that they can probably raise their input into buying that player by 600% minimum. So anyway, that's the way it is. Liverpool 12th man, says Brian Hennessy. I guess we never know about Kane, but he has no system to make Richarlison shine. The pigeon is poor. He's terrible. He's terrible anyway. I don't know how he got. He looked good at Watford at a period of time, and then he looked just awful after that. Look, that's everybody saying hello to everybody as we go down long. Upper tier, how's it going? Yeah, right, buddy. Big up, gents. Decent win after a sloppy 4-star. Greetings from Florida. Oh, jeez. Oh, he's on holiday. I forgot about that. Yeah, him and Jack are all going out the gap. So I enjoy that, buddy. Niall's over there enjoying himself, sunning it up. Try the grits. They're lovely. So we have Niall there, all good. Mark, when I see studs up is all he's saying. That's it. About the, I think that's about the McAllister thing. Right, so lads, we're going to leave it at that because I'd say, he said that the players voted on it before we get out of that. Nah, don't like that. We leave it at that. We've gone over time. It's it's an hour and 7 minutes. What we'll do is that we'll do a show during the week. With regards, I think there's a show that Jack wanted me to do with regards Robbo. I'll be less tired this time. And hopefully I can bounce off more lads. We get a few more people into the chat and we get it going. And we'll enjoy it then. But look, Liverpool 3, Bournemouth 1. Goals from all front strikers, by the way, front line. The whole lot of them scored, which is a great offering to come back off of. Before we leave it, Dean OLFC. I was more impressed by your response to going to go down last season. That didn't happen. Absolutely. We leave it on that point because that's probably a very fair comment to leave it on there. Lads, do you want to give a shout out to what you're doing tonight, tomorrow, or every day during the week? I don't care, but the people will.
Just shout anything out.
I'm going to bed in a few minutes.
Yeah, so Nigel just went to bed in a few minutes. He doesn't have social media.
No.
Connor, are you doing anything?
I might celebrate because Liverpool actually won a game of football, which is actually quite nice to start the season off with.
Are we having a drink?
No.
Another one.
To be fair, guys, the last time Kev had a drink in front of me, he fell asleep about 20 minutes after. So
I did.
Yeah.
Well, let's say that we were drinking all day. In fairness, we were saying the pub all bloody day, like so. And you know, I was drinking 3 to everything that they were drinking 1. So let's call a spade a spade. I was looking down those rounds. All right, lads, I'll get one. Oh, yeah, do you want one? No, I'll get one. Then I come back there and I'll hand a round over. So I'm glad. Anyway, so that's the difference between men and little boys. You know what I mean? Oh, you love. How are you keeping? How are you? You're all right. Welcome to the channel. You're grand. That's grand. But anyway, lads, we leave it there. They are all worn out. Doug, what have you got coming up? I was about to say we'll leave it there, but I'm tired, lads. Long old day.
I mean, Liverpool have won. Manchester United have lost. I'm off to have a beer at Moretti and a couple of beers. So yeah, just going to have a chill night. Watch City, Newcastle. Watch match of the day. So yeah,
that's a good show, by the way. Yeah, that's a good show. You see, lads, we're going to leave it there. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, good game. Well, Wrexham, the game today, if you're looking for highlights, Wrexham drew 5-5 today. If you're looking for any highlights, 5-5 draw.
Wow.
Yeah, lots of goals.
Were they like 4-1 down at one point?
Yeah, something like that.
Oh no, I'll have to watch that. No, I'll definitely watch that later. Right, lads. I'll be back on my next watch along. Newcastle game next week. As I said, it was supposed to be starting the whole. This is why I'm saying I'm tired. So the big long story short, with regards to the Kitman sponsorship, it's still going ahead. It's supposed to be a show starting today, but the manager who's running the whole event and the whole show quit his job because he was running too many venues at the same time yesterday, the day before everything started. So the owners have come back and said to me, okay, we won't have the place ready in time for you. Our managers let us down. He's after picking off and all of that. And he said, look, we'll get back to you and do whatever. So I'm having a meeting with him tomorrow about it. So the shows will be going forward, just not today. So they'll be pushed back maybe 2 weeks. I think it's enough. I could do it next week and I'd be rushing it and trying to get people in there, but I think it needs to be properly promoted. We'd only about 60 people coming in there when we could get like 110 or something like that kind of coming into it. So another couple of weeks and these guys will all come in. But anyway, that's for the Kitman show, to do with myself and Jack, and to do with Kev, and to do with the other guys coming in from like the Arsenal fan channels and the Manchester United fan channels and the Newcastle fan channels. So for myself on Spider FC and on behalf of Jack on Anfield Road TV, and sorry Jack about the Redman reference. So I just thought I'd wind everybody up and he came in and said, and I was waiting for somebody to say it in the chat, but then they all know my banter, so nobody said anything. So it didn't work. But lads, we'll leave it at that. And thanks very much, especially to Connor, to Doug, and to Nigel for coming on the channel tonight. I appreciate it. And let's, look after yourselves, and I'll see you for the next content, which is in a couple of days on Anfield Road TV. Right, good luck.